Hello, Chameleon Wranglers. Welcome to this wonderful Tuesday. Today is a special day for me, and so we're going to be talking about the 52 Milestone and a number of orders of business for the Chameleon Academy. Now, if this is your first time coming to one of these videos and you're saying, what the heck, where are the chameleons? Don't worry. I've got over 600 videos on this channel. I've got a lot of how-to videos on how to take care of chameleons and all that kind of stuff. And so you don't have to unsubscribe from this channel. Go ahead and just go to the video playlist and you're going to find a lot of chameleon stuff. But the Chameleon Academy is more than just information about chameleons. It's like a family. We've got a family atmosphere here, and today I'm going to be talking to the Chameleon Academy family. We've got a great community here. If your interest in chameleons goes beyond just the lizard and it's with the people who enjoy chameleons, and you're looking for a community or family feel with people that love chameleons as well, then stick around and you're welcome to hang out with us. Today is just a State of the Union type address because there's some things going on that I need to communicate, and it's not like YouTube has any other sort of communication method. Now, I did say that this was a special milestone episode for me, but we'll get to that after a couple of orders of business. First order of business. A lot of you love the DIY fogger that James and I are talking about on the DIY Chameleon Guys. I just want to let you know that we're working on a how-to guide that has an entire list of everything you need, as well as the tools you need, and then the steps you need to go through. And so it's going to be very simple for you to follow that and build a fogger for yourself. So I just want to let you know that that is in the works, and we're working on making a nice formal PDF, so it's a good experience for you. Next, the Forest Edge 5+5 Chameleon Cage Checklist. For those just joining us, that is a checklist that we use to check our chameleon cage, and we just go down the list, check, and say, okay, yes, this is a great cage for a chameleon. And the advantage of having this checklist is if you don't check a box, you say, okay, that's what I need to fix to make this a great chameleon cage. So it's very useful. Now, I created a handout for people to share digitally and to print out. Now, I just want to let you know that I have updated those handouts. And if you're wondering where these handouts are, I will link to that in the description so you can find them. And for the digital download, the JPEG version of it, I have on there the link to the web page that explains each one of these things in detail. And so if anybody looks at this checklist and says, what does that mean? They can go to that link and they can find more information. On the PDF download that is designed if you want to print it out and give it to someone at your vet office, or take it to a reptile show, or take it to the pet shop, or whatever you want to do. If you actually want to physically print this and show it to people, I now have the version on the website that has a QR code. So if anybody gets this printed version, they can snap a shot of the QR code, and it will take them to the website so they can download one of their own. So you can print out 10, 20 of these if you want to, or else you can give it to your vet office or pet store. They can laminate it, and then if anybody buys a chameleon, they can just bring this up from behind the desk. The client can use the camera to find the link in the QR code, and then they can go and download one of their own. The Forest Edge 5+5 was meant to be a resource for the community. So please spread it around as much as is possible to whomever it will help. If you have any questions about any of those, put them in the comments and I'll answer them either in a short or in a long form video somehow or other. But now with business done, I'd like to talk about something personally meaningful to me. And that is right around now, I think it was last week, I launched vlog number 52. And for those who are just joining us, I started a daily vlog back at the end of January. And I have something here on YouTube every single day. On weekdays, there's the vlogs, there's educational videos every day, and they're launched every day at 5 a.m. And if you're interested, Those of us who are really dedicated part of the community get together at 5 a.m. Pacific, and we enjoy the live chat. So you're welcome to join us on that one. But the real significance to me personally is that I created a year's worth of YouTube long-form videos within a quarter. And so if I went the traditional YouTube route, which is a video every week, I would have done an entire year's worth of videos in the span between, I think, the end of January and the end of March. And that's not counting all the live sessions and the shorts and the other things that I've done. Now, the reason why that's significant to me personally is back in 2015, I started a podcast. It was then called the Chameleon Breeder Podcast. Now it's Chameleon Academy Podcast. And that's just audio. There was no video component to it. I mean, we're talking, what, 9 years ago? And I was very good at that. I was very good at scripting things. Massaging the written word was an art form that I enjoyed and was good at. But the thing is, the world's gone towards video. And podcasts are gone towards video. Sure, you can find the audio ones, the audio-only ones, easily. But if we're talking about mainstream, video is king right now. And so this was something that I knew and I had to transition to, and I tried a number of times over the last, I'd say, about 6 years, but it never took. And 2024 was the year that I said, I'm going to do it. I am going to force myself to do it. I'm going to commit to doing it. And so I spent January doing 2 to 3 shorts a day to practice and get my skills up. And then at the end of January, I just took the plunge and did it. And the reason why this is so significant for me is that it's the number of times that I've failed before. And I just wasn't able to keep it up. And I felt uncomfortable with the medium of video. And I was uncomfortable being on camera and just talking on camera. And so it's a huge difference from where I was, if not a year ago, definitely 2.5 years ago. And I remember sitting myself down and saying, okay, what is the thing that's keeping you back from starting video? And the one thing was that I always have to script it out and I can't just speak. I have to read it, and I'm really good at it. And so it's really hard to put away something that you're really good at. But I realized I have to be able to speak ad lib. I'm just going to have to do it. And without thinking, I just got my Instagram app out and I hit go live. And on that day, exactly that moment, I went live for an entire hour. And I talked. There was, 1 or 2 people that kept in and out. And it kind of grew. But I forced myself to work the crowd, even though the crowd was, 1 or 2 people, and talk with them and talk about issues in the chameleon world. And that was, 2.5 years ago. And I committed to myself that I was going to do this every week. And so every week from that, it just happened to be a Tuesday that I did that. And so every Tuesday since then, I've done a live session on Instagram. I later added a live session on YouTube. That was Saturday. And just recently, I added a live session on Sunday evening, but that's Chameleon Chore Night. It really wasn't supposed to be an official live, but now it kind of is. And so I have got a couple of hundred of live shows under my belt. And 2.5 years ago, it all comes from me saying, I can't do this. And so I'm going to force myself. I'm going to jump into the deep end and I'm going to make it work. Me doing all these videos was earlier this year, me putting my foot down and saying, okay, I am going to do this. And you know what really made it real? Is when I decided every single one of these vlogs was going to be a premiere. And that means that for the first showing, YouTube gives you a live chat. And so you're there with your friends, you're watching the video, and you're in the chat chatting away. But what this did is it made me accountable. So if I wasn't feeling like doing it the night before, I was going to be letting someone down if I didn't. And this community is great. This Chameleon Academy community family is great. Everybody, they care about each other. They care about me. And so if I said I needed a break, oh my goodness, they would understand. They would encourage it. Likewise, if they are setting their alarm and they are brewing a pot of coffee and just so they can sit down and be part of that, starting the day off with your chameleon goodness, that is really cool. And I want to honor that. Now, that's all wonderful and good. My personal achievement, I just wanted to share with you how much it means to me that I've been able to do this. But let's also turn it around and talk about this dynamic of pushing ourselves forward and how that relates to chameleon herpetoculture. The greatest thing about me accomplishing this is the feeling I get. I conquered something that was holding me back. Now, YouTube doesn't notice. It's not like I'm getting really rewarded for this. YouTube's going, okay, fine, you're doing more videos, but it's not like they're giving me more reach because of it. So I got to tell you, if I was your YouTube advisor, I wouldn't necessarily advise you doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not doing this for growth on YouTube. And although I hoped I would get a little bit more growth than I actually am. So I'm saying, come on, YouTube, I'm doing a lot here. But really, this is for me personally. And the most significant part of this is the sense of accomplishment. I've achieved something that I could not do just a couple of years ago. Heck, I don't even know if I could have done it a year ago. And that feels great. And this is important to me because I am a content creator. This is what I do. But not everybody's a content creator. Most of you, maybe you have an Instagram account, you're having fun, but you really don't care about the metrics and how it works. But is there anything else that you do care about? There are so many things to learn in chameleon herpetoculture that, I mean, the world is just an oyster. It's just opened up to all sorts of possible personal growth. And I just like to lay it out. If you are enthusiastic about chameleons, that you want to use it as a vehicle for growth, then there are so many things that you can choose from. Now, if you just want to do chameleons because they make you happy, absolutely fine. You don't have to make this a personal growth challenge. You can just enjoy your chameleons. But I know a number of you are so excited about chameleons that you want to explore more about chameleon herpetoculture. And so what I want to encourage you to do is pick something that you want to get better at, that you want to grow with. And I mean, let's go over a couple of things that we do here at the Chameleon Academy. Parasitology. You want to get a microscope and learn how to do fecal samples and take a look at how to identify parasites and the medication, how to get rid of the parasites. I mean, once you dive into parasitology, you realize that there is an incredible world that's going on down there. I mean, they're not just sitting around and they're soaking up nutrients. There are wars that go on. There are different classes of parasite. There's the breeders and then there's the warriors. They defend their breeding facility, like trematodes will defend their snail that they've gone on and they've modified the reproductive system of the snail to produce trematodes, flukes. And so this crawling, this is why the snail is still alive. So while the snail is crawling and doing what it's doing, it's producing flukes, and there's a warrior class of flukes that protect that snail from other flukes coming in and taking over the snail's reproductive system. I mean, it's a complete drama. You could make an entire movie out of this. There are parasites that affect their host's behavior. If the parasite needs to is in an intermediary host and needs to get to their definitive host, certain parasites can adjust the behavior of that organism that it's in, so they are more likely to be eaten by the definitive host. I mean, these flukes, once again, flukes, what's the flukes? If they're in a fish and they need to get into a bird, they will modify the fish's behavior so the fish will swim sideways and reflect the light from its shiny scales, making it more likely to be eaten. There are some parasite, I think it's a fungus of sorts, will make their grasshopper host commit suicide by jumping into the water so the parasite can go on to its next life cycle. And don't get me started on toxoplasma, which can affect humans and affect the behavior of humans. What about the hookworms that hatch once they're pooped out, and then these little worms go and they search for their hosts, and they're sitting there waving in on the grass, waiting for some person to walk by, and then they latch onto that person and they crawl in through the hair follicle. I mean, it's wild. So obviously you get me talking about parasites and I just go crazy because it's so fascinating. But that's one growth area that you can choose. And all it takes is a microscope and then, some wild-caught chameleons, because you're not going to get a whole lot of parasites off of a nice captive hatched panther chameleon, although you may have some. Okay, but another story. Perhaps you like travel. I mean, the areas where chameleons come from, Madagascar, Kenya, South Africa. You can go to Namibia and find the one chameleon, Namaquensis, that runs across sand dunes. Perhaps you're really interested in breeding chameleons, and you can start with an easy species and then work your way up to the hardest one, which is the Parsons chameleon, at least right now. But even if it's been done before or people are doing it regularly, it's still all about you and your growth. What do you want to do? And I guess kind of what I'm trying to do here is encourage you to treat your chameleon study like a sport, something that you have to train for. Have a goal and then train for it. And I'm all about it. You can always talk to me on any one of my live sessions. You say, hey, Bill, what do you think about this chameleon goal? And we can talk about it because there's so many different things. You want to get good at building cages? You want to become a content creator yourself? I can tell you the greatest growth in my entire 45 plus years of working with chameleons has been when I started a podcast. And I started interviewing people and I started talking to different people and getting different insights. And every single week, I had to reconcile what I thought was true with the perspective of somebody who grew up in an entirely different country doing the same chameleon husbandry with a totally different method. And I was forced to reconcile that with what I thought was true. And through that process, what I know became much stronger. And so if you want to become a content creator, this is an awesome opportunity. And even if you don't want to interview people, just the act of taking what you think you know and trying to verbalize it will solidify so much of what you think you know. And it starts to give back to the community, because there's something very special about giving back to the community and helping people who are just starting off, helping them find success that you have found, but finding it easier. And it's not beneficial to make them go through what you already went through just so they can earn their way. Yes, we have spent so much work getting to where we are, and it just seems unfair to just give that away to somebody just starting, right? Well, don't look at it that way. At least that's not the way I look at it. The way I look at it is, if we fill them up with all of what we have learned, then they don't have to waste time doing that, and they can work on getting us to the next step. And I can benefit from their work taking us to the next step. And so the people that I have helped are now helping me grow as well. And that is what a community does. And so I think the bottom line of this episode today is to encourage you to treat chameleon herpetoculture like a sport, at least in the way of training for a sport. Don't think of chameleon herpetoculture as a sport as in you're competing against other people. That's when it starts getting toxic, and I don't want to have anything to do with that. That's don't take that analogy that far. Train for it, not competing. So I guess I ought to be careful about what kind of analogies I use. But view your chameleon herpetoculture like a sport and train hard. Not just, hey, well, this feels good, but say, this is my goal and I am going to make it. And really, I will help you with that. That gets me so excited when somebody has that kind of passion. I mean, there's a handful of people like that in the community, and I just watch them with fascination, and I just can't wait to see what they discover next, because they're taking what I have earned and I've worked for, and since they don't have to work for it, they can work on the next step, and then I get to benefit from that. And so we're not just giving anything away for free, we're just paying it forward. And so treat your chameleon herpetoculture like a sport, and then finally give back to the community. Take whatever you've learned and give it to somebody who could use it to make their life better. Someone asked me today why I'm doing all of this. They say, wow, you do a lot. Why do you do it? And my answer was, I don't know. I do it because I love it. And so that's what I'm wishing that you'll find, is a group of people that will make it worth doing, and you all will have a blast doing it. And if any of you are new here and you've actually listened through this entire episode, well, maybe try out the Chameleon Academy live sessions and even join us for a 5 a.m. vlog and see, well, maybe this is a place you could call home. And for everybody else who has been here and gets up at 5 in the morning and brews that cup of coffee and hangs out, thank you. I can't tell you how you being there has made this personal growth meaningful to me. And so in closing, I will pat myself on the back for an accomplishment well done. I just want to let you know that I've got so much more that I'm working on, and you're invited to come along for the ride. It's great being here. And so please take care of yourself, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time.